The Kansas City Chiefs are gearing up to take on the Denver Broncos for the first time this season. I have a full breakdown and preview and prediction for this game. But guys, I've been wildly off on the scores so far this year. So if you're betting, don't listen to me. I have no idea what an over or an under is. Let's get into things. We're going to start with some big ideas here. And one big idea that does not make this list here, but is worth talking about, is simply the fact that the Kansas City Chiefs absolutely should beat the Denver Broncos. But that is always the case with the Kansas City Chiefs. They always should, hypothetically, beat the opposing team that they find themselves on the football field. This game is going to be tougher than that, I think. It just feels like one of those things. The Kansas City Chiefs, about this time in the season, I've talked about this, I think, for 2 or 3 weeks now. This is where the Kansas City Chiefs normally hit the skids for a little while, so we will see if that is the case this time as well. The first big idea to talk about here, the Chiefs have the opportunity to move to 9-0 on the season, and while the playoffs are at this point a foregone conclusion, moving to 9-0 would all but ensure the reality. Add to that the fact that the Bills and the Ravens already have 7 wins, and getting to a 2-game buffer in the hunt for the 1 seed is absolutely imperative. Now, the first thing you have to do to win the Super Bowl is to make the playoffs. Basically, 10 wins gets you into the playoffs. The Kansas City Chiefs, through 8 games, have 9 attempts to get 2 wins. Basically, they're in there. The number 1 seed is absolutely monumental because it gives you a bye week and home field advantage. I'm preaching to school. I understand that. You know all this. But we saw the Chiefs do the run without home field or the bye last season. All that said, guys, the wear and tear on the Chiefs' bodies is starting to show. They've had several relatively injury-free seasons, and things are piling up now. The weird part about it is, well, Rashee Rice is a second-year player. You have Hollywood Brown, who has not been on these long playoff runs with the Kansas City Chiefs. You have several players, Jody Fortson coming back to the Kansas City Chiefs and getting injured. You have young workhorse back Isaiah Pacheco getting injured, but he's young, and you wouldn't assume that the wear and tear of the NFL would necessarily be that strong on him yet, but he has had little nicks and dings along the way and a postseason surgery the year before, right? So in my opinion, of this entire Chiefs run that we have seen them go on, the number 1 seed is more important this season than any other. We've talked about the constituent parts of the Kansas City Chiefs. So many players are returning, and those guys have played basically over the past few seasons an entire additional football season. So Patrick Mahomes is 15-2. Is it 15-2 in the playoffs? That's 17 games. That is a full season. 15-2? Anyway, 15-3. So more than a full season of postseason play just in the time that Patrick Mahomes has been a Kansas City Chief. You talk about somebody like Travis Kelce, that's even more games, even more consecutive seasons. So the wear and tear, that missing the first week of the playoffs would be incredible for this team. The next thing to say, the franchise record is 9-0. With a win over the Broncos, they tie that record. They would put themselves in position to set the franchise record by going 10-0 the following week against the Bills. I'm not looking ahead, I'm just saying, we're already talking about this game. Should the Chiefs win this game, should the Chiefs win against the Bills, wooey, look for things to get very interesting very, very fast. The number 3 thing here, the Chargers and the Broncos both have 5 wins, meaning that 13 wins seals the division. 12.5 wins really seals the division because you already have a win over the Chargers, but 13 wins means you have won the AFC West. Absolutely wild that the Kansas City Chiefs are going for Their 9th win 13, will definitely win them the division, and that's if the Chargers go undefeated the rest of the way. So, what about the breakdown for this game? When the Chiefs run the football, the Chiefs have run for 979 yards this season. That's just 20th best in the NFL, though I will say, we have to say, that the complexion of the running game has been different since Kareem Hunt has been the running back for the Kansas City Chiefs. That guy does not lose yards. I hope, because I don't think there's nothing physically keeping Isaiah Pacheco from running the way that Kareem Hunt runs. Balance, maybe. Kareem Hunt is a weeble. He wobbles, but he will not fall down, right? So what I'm really talking about is not the contact balance. I don't know that you can develop the type of contact balance that Kareem Hunt has. I think maybe that is something that you luck yourself into work. I don't think it's a birthright like being tall. I think that it is something that you sort of subconsciously work on through the course of your life. You look at someone like Barry Sanders, very bottom heavy, very fast, and very decisive. That led to his part of his contact balance. Kareem Hunt's a little bit different. He's not as fast. He's not as sudden. Hopefully Isaiah Pacheco is taking some notes on what it is that Kareem Hunt does at the line of scrimmage that would improve him as a running back if there's anything he can use there. The Broncos have surrendered 978 rushing yards on the season, which is 11th best in the NFL. So there is just a difference of 1 yard between what the Chiefs have run for and what the Broncos have surrendered. That is an interesting coinky-dink. While no one has really destroyed the Broncos in the running game, Derrick Henry and Kenneth Walker both went over 100 yards. Very different backs, but their workhorse back Najee Harris also had a decent day against the Broncos. So if Kareem Hunt gets 20 carries, 20-plus carries on the day, I imagine he will eclipse the 100-yard mark. The interesting thing about forecasting this game is that the Chiefs, like I said earlier, should win this game. The Chiefs have looked better the past couple weeks than they have all season, and they find themselves 8-0. If this becomes a runaway opportunity for the Chiefs, and by runaway, basically, I mean 10 points. If there is a 10-point difference for the Chiefs in this game, I think they're going to lean on that running game very heavily. I think that the amount of wear and tear that Kareem Hunt has had the past few weeks, we could see more Carson Steele. We could see more Samaje Perine. All three of those guys, this keeps coming up in the discussions that we're having here on these preview and prediction videos. All three of those guys are big, strong backs. Derrick Henry, big, strong back. Kenneth Walker, not all that big, but a very strong back. Najee Harris, big, strong back. So what happens is part of the reason that you see teams like the Ravens, when they get on a roll, they'll beat teams by ridiculous margins. It's because the running game got them ahead. The running game is their strength. When you build a lead, what do? You go to the running game. Well, if that's already your strength, you're just doing the same thing that got you ahead in the first place. This could be a situation like that for the Chiefs against the Broncos if they can really get things rolling. When the Chiefs throw the ball, the Broncos have given up 1,858 passing yards, just about 140 yards more than the Chiefs have given up this season for a little bit of perspective. So these passing defenses are, to this point in the season, fairly comparable. The Chiefs, for their part, have thrown for 1,942 yards this season. That's good for 19th in the NFL. And we have seen that Patrick Mahomes is not having his career year. But Patrick Mahomes is coming off of his best game of the season, nearly hitting 300 yards and no interceptions. Arguably, his second best game of the season was the week prior versus the Raiders. There is something else in common there. We'll talk about that in a moment. So while the Chiefs are 19th in the league in passing yards, they are trending in a positive direction. A lot of this is because of the presence of DeAndre Hopkins. DeAndre Hopkins, a sure set of hands for Patrick Mahomes. He opens things up in the passing game for Travis Kelce. And I think if we look at that next point there, against the Ravens, Zay Flowers torched the Broncos to the tune of 5 receptions, 127 yards, and 2 touchdowns. This may be a breakout opportunity for Xavier Worthy. Now, a little bit different pass catchers, Zay Flowers and Xavier Worthy. That said, Xavier Worthy is much faster. Zay Flowers has a lot of quickness. Xavier Worthy has even more quickness. So if the Chiefs are able to utilize what it is that Zay Flowers does well, it might be a spot where Zay Flowers can have the best game thus far of his rookie season, at least as far as catching the ball is concerned. That Week 1 performance versus the Ravens was pretty good for a rookie. What about when the Broncos have the ball? Well, when the Broncos run the ball, the Broncos have run for 1,093 yards this season, which is good for 12th in the NFL. The Broncos don't have an overall bad offense. The Broncos should be respected for the 5 wins that they do have. The Chiefs have surrendered just 671 yards this season on the ground. That is good for second best in the NFL. One thing to watch for as far as adjustments from the Broncos go, and I don't know how often they utilize these plays, but I think they're going to. The Bucs had a whole lot of success against the Chiefs with the jet sweep type stuff. And I imagine that teams are going to use that against the Chiefs for the rest of the season just to see if they can have the same type of success against the Chiefs' defense. I don't know what it is we would really be looking for in the Broncos' offense that is going to be dangerous to the Kansas City Chiefs as far as that is concerned, or who, the personnel types. But I imagine they're going to do it. I imagine they're at least going to try it. So hopefully the Chiefs defense has done a little bit of drilling this week about what it is that those jet motions mean. If it were me, what I would do is whoever the slot corner is on that side, go up and knock that guy whether he's got the ball or not. It's within 5 yards. You can hit him, right? So that's what I would do. Javonte Williams, the running back for the Denver Broncos, is 5'10", 220 pounds with a 4.55 40-yard dash. This guy is a bowling ball. Should the Broncos find themselves with the lead, they may be tempted to sit on his 3.8-yard average in order to try to grind things out. If they do that, I believe it would be a mistake. Should the Broncos find themselves with a 10-point lead and try to sit on that running game, they're going to have more problems than not. If it were me and I were the Broncos and I had a 10-point lead, I would be cutting off half the field, rolling Bo Nix out, and running basic college-type plays from there. Just one read and see if you can get a first down. That's what I would be doing if I were the Broncos with the lead, but it is tempting to lean on a 5'10", 220-pound running back. What about when the Broncos pass the ball? The Broncos have thrown for 1,786 yards this season. That's 24th in the NFL. On the opposite side, the Chiefs have surrendered just 1,743 yards this season. That's good for 8th best in the NFL. Bo Nix, for his part, has an 8 touchdown to 6 interception ratio on the season. Spagnuolo's defense is fast. It is multiple, and it is aggressive. They should be able to force the rookie quarterback into turnovers. If it were me, that would be my game plan going into this, would be to make Bo Nix think fast. Make him react fast. Make him know that he's not going to... I would spy him with Leo Chanel the same way that the Kansas City Chiefs did against the Ravens in Week 1. It worked fairly well, and Bo Nix is not Lamar Jackson, right? Bo Nix probably closer to Justin Herbert than he is Lamar Jackson. So an athletic enough guy, but I don't think he's necessarily going to do all that much to destroy the Chiefs with his legs. My prediction for this game is this: Chiefs 27, Broncos 24. I just think it is going to be that type of sticky scenario for the Kansas City Chiefs. If there were an uglier score that I could pick, I would. Do I think that the Broncos should be able to score 24 points against this vaunted Kansas City Chiefs defense? I do not. This is a division game. You are playing an opponent that still has a fighting chance in the division. You are playing an opponent that has a fighting chance to the playoffs. You are playing an opponent that does not like you. These Broncos want nothing more than to beat the Kansas City Chiefs. I don't think, however, that they get that done. That is all I have for this video. If you like or appreciate what it is that I do on the channel, hitting the like button really does help me out, as it tells YouTube to share this video with other Kansas City Chiefs fans. And if you find yourself here by chance but not design, the Kansas City Chiefs are the only thing I talk about on the channel, dropping multiple videos every single week. I've posted a video every day for over 600 days now. So consider hitting the subscribe button. Stick around for more Chiefs content in the future. And as always, I hope to have you back for the next one.